Welcome to our fourth LinkedIn Live on the topic of building channels for SaaS. I'm Angus Robertson, your co-host. I'm a fractional CMO with Chief Outsiders, also a previous CRO, and for some reason just stay passionate about the world of MSP. Of course, I'm here with my co-host, Teresa Caragol, who is an influencer in the channel and also the president and CEO of Achieve Unite, a boutique consultancy that's behind some of the best channel programs out there. Today, our topic is how to build amazing channel account manager superstars. And we've had quite a lot of interest on the topic. We have more than 170 people registered, and it's something that a lot of folks have interest in. And we've got a phenomenal panel today as well. So we have Christy from Tech Data. We also have Jasmina from Everbridge, and of course, Teresa, to all share their insights and expertise. So with that, Christy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right, Angus, thank you. It's great to be here, and Jasmina and Teresa, it's an honor to be here with such amazing women and female leaders on the channel. So Christy Kirby. So right now I'm currently in a vice president of our vendor management efforts for our Edge Solutions business at Tech Data for the Americas. So I've been with Tech Data for about 14 years and all sorts of different capacities around, and have the responsibility for managing some of the greatest partners in the channel. So work with an amazing team of people every single day. Talented, passionate about IT, about what it can do to connect the world of technology. And of course, when I'm not doing that, that's my, call it, regular job. My most important job is I'm a wife, a mom to two little amazing kids. And I'm based in Tampa, Florida, where I love the sunshine. So yeah, good to be here.
Yeah. No, great to have you here. Thank you, Christy. And I don't, the sunshine in Tampa is something that's definitely pretty nice. I was there just a few weeks ago. So Jasmina, great to have you here too. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so thank you. And I'm honored to be on this podcast today with amazing individuals, Teresa and Christy alike. So I'm the one that runs the channel, the global channel partnerships at Everbridge, where I drive the channel strategy. The channel here at Everbridge has been amazing. It's a huge passion for me. I've been here for about 18 months, 19 months, supporting the businesses throughout the pandemic, vaccine distribution, the cyber attacks and other crises. But overall, I've been with the channel for about 26 years, different companies like CenturyLink, 8x8. And then that 26 years, it was a mixture between direct selling and then as a channel leader. But interesting enough, before I came to Everbridge, it was kind of funny. I didn't know much about the critical event management space. And now it seems like more and more people are starting to really kind of get into this whole critical events. What's happening? What are we doing? And this is what really drove me to the company and kind of changed my path in your typical day-to-day, software services. So I'm really fascinated in seeing more and more of what our partners and channel managers are starting to realize. This is a whole new differentiation in the industry. So it's a really great time to be here, and I'm really excited to see what we can do for everyone out there.
Yeah, it's great to have you here too, Jasmina. And so we were talking about just before we started, it's a very cool mission that you have at Everbridge to connect what you're doing on the sales and channel side with that passion for making a difference too.
Yep.
And Teresa, my co-host.
I'm so glad to be here with all of you fabulous people. And this is a deeply passionate and personal topic for me. I really care deeply about how we keep, grow, build the best talent in the tech industry in the channel. And I've watched over the years, look at Angus with 3 women here in the channel, where 12 years ago, there were probably only 3 women in the channel. So it's, it's really neat to see the channel be a place where there's an incredible level of diversity. There's an incredible level of different backgrounds, both cultural backgrounds, as well as backgrounds of maybe I came from a partner and I'm a channel manager. Maybe I came from a healthcare and I'm a channel manager. All these different types of backgrounds. I do not believe you only have to grow up one way to be a channel manager. So look forward to having this conversation with you all.
Yeah, and we'll dive into that exactly. Christy has some thoughts there, so can't wait to hear her opinions and insights on that very topic. So before we jump in, it's great to have so many people who have joined us. As Teresa highlighted, we're definitely very much a community. We all care a lot about the channel, and we have a number of people on who really know what they're doing and have some great perspectives and also experience. So please feel free to share your opinion and comment and question as we dive in and continue the conversation after that. So with that, let's dive into our topic on how to develop those amazing superstars on within the channel. And Christy, let's start with you. When it comes to what you see as some of the key ingredients in developing these CAMs, one of the things you focus on is trust. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thanks, Angus, for the question. And yeah, I appreciate it. And Teresa, to add on to your comment, I mean, my background prior to IT and the IT channel is healthcare myself. So, and healthcare device sales. So, it's absolutely true what you just said. But yes, Angus, around building trust, I mean, I think trust is incredibly important, no matter what type of a team you're leading, whether it's a team of CAMs or channel superstars or a team of, accountants or IT developers. I mean, I think it's ultimately for anybody who either is a leader on this forum right now or, who has a leader, right? That relationship that you have and the trust that you have within who you work for or the company you work for or what you sell is so incredibly important, because anybody that has to go out there and be an account manager has to believe in what they do, why they do it, and who they do it for, first and foremost. I believe that prior to this past year, I think that there's no denying that this past year has proven that 100 times more. And I think that those are the factors as if you look at the future of work and the opportunities available and the way, not just the shift around in opportunity within the IT space, but within the world as a whole, building trust and having that trust in your organization is going to be one of the most key differentiating factors for any organization, to retain and grow talent, right? And so I think you can do it through a few simple ways, but first and foremost, it has to be genuine, right? Trust is not something you can fake, because people choose to trust, not a given. It's not people make a choice to extend trust. And so, that can be done through, clearly, genuinely caring for others. You have to be a leader. You have to be a good and truthful coach. You have to drive accountability. It's important to drive accountability and use your wisdom, but do so in a compassionate way, right? And of course, effectively communicating. So I think, many folks do a great job at this. But, sometimes you can fall into a trap, even if you don't mean to. So it's good to just kind of have a pulse check on ultimately, what your process is and be really, really specific and intentional to build trust. I think that that's just something that's really important. So, I think if you look at something like, COVID or being remote or the future of the workforce is going to be, more remote or disparate around the world. If you think about communication, how you would communicate to build trust in an in-person setting, you have to triple that if you're in a remote setting.
Very true.
And you have to not just triple the frequency, you have to triple the amount of effort you put into making sure you are listening louder, actively, right? You are showing compassion. You are demonstrating, a proactive communication, whether that's written or verbal or even nonverbal. Right now, if you look at somebody on video all day long, just watching body language, it's easier to do that when you're in a Zoom kind of environment full of little quads or rectangles of people. But I think also, human nature, I think, likes stability, right? So when there's the world is so rapidly changing, or the business environment is so rapidly changing, being stable, not necessarily, and I'm not saying denying change is happening, because that's a whole nother thing, because I also think you got to play offense. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But also being, stable and intentional in the way in which you communicate or how you lean in or anything. And I think also too, sometimes it's good to also have a little surprise factor. So as an example, a couple weeks ago, I was working, and I was leading one of the weekly classes with my own team at Data, and everyone thought they were showing up to a meeting, and they thought they were going to, have a development hour where they were going to talk about, around actually the topic around communication. And instead, we played a game for an hour. I could tell they needed to blow off some steam, I could feel the environment. I could feel the pressure. You know, we happen to be, you know, working with these lovely supply chain shortages that we've all been living and breathing. So we definitely needed to blow the pressure and blow some steam off, but stuff like that. So I think, you know, and I think the thing too is it's not just about team and environment within the company. That kind of a culture and that kind of environment absolutely will bleed out to those customers. And those are going to be the difference makers of where people want to do business.
Yeah, absolutely. That empathy is so key. And I was really impressed when I left my last position, just how many people reached out to me. And it's like when you develop those relationships and that connection, especially in this community, it really pays forward and pays great dividends. So I love that ingredient. Jasmina, when you look at building your team and identifying what works, what are some of the ingredients you think about?
You know, I think there's a combination. There's quite a few. I mean, I think having that mission-driven approach is vital to, you know, an individual or even at an organizational level. An example could be like here at Everbridge, we base completely our entire company culture on core values that includes obsession, you know, with customer success, integrity, which is literally, it comprises of a team of leaders, which is true in my channel program as well. Channel managers also have to have that outstanding two-way communication skill. As a channel manager, you know, they have to be actively listening, which is very important. When you listen, you learn from the partners, which provides a basis of that trust that Christy was just mentioning. We have to be able to communicate not only with our partners, but with our team members internally, externally, other leaders too. You have to be able to set, you know, some of those expectations and adjust those expectations. So some of those attributes, you know, remain vital to that teamwork, but which brings me to my next ingredient, which is that teamwork. It literally goes hand in hand with that communication. You can't be a good channel manager if you work in a silo. The team has goals and a mission, and you can only be successful if you work through those challenges together. You literally have to learn from your mistakes together and celebrate your success together. Not everyone has the same set of skills, and successful channel managers collaborate and capitalize on each of those strengths as a team so that they can move together as one. But that next key ingredient, you know, is also having that fun-spirited side. One of the things that I love most about the channel is that we all work so hard, but we know how to make it fun. Work shouldn't feel like a job, kind of like Teresa, you and I were just talking about. It has to be fun. Partners are fun people. You have to recognize that you have to build that relationship with the partners. The channel is a relationship business, and partners want to do business with people that they like. I mean, having fun is a part of that job. So all of those kind of combine into one, and making sure it's the teamwork, the fun-spirited, and that communication is critical.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Building that relationship, building that trust, having some fun along the way, and how communication is so key to all of that. Teresa, you talk about business acumen. I think when Christy talked about trust, with these partners, partnership is so dependent on that partner value proposition, and you have to be there when you're needed. But how do you express that in a way that you can really partner around the business and see that joint opportunity?
Well, you know, what's interesting is what both of you were talking about is sort of the EQ of partnering, right? And there's this EQ, and trust is the most critical ingredient of partnering. And do I trust Christy? Do I trust Jasmina? Do I trust Angus, the nicest man on the channel? And then there is, do I trust that company? Right? And that's the organization trust. And so both of those become really important in this arena. And then the second thing is around the IQ of partnering, right? So I fundamentally believe 70% of SaaS applications are not bought by IT buyers, right? They're not even bought by the technology buyers. They're bought by CSOs, CMOs, CROs. So if that's the case, we can't sell on technology features anymore. Like some of us are older, grew up in the world of doing that. So we have to sell on business outcomes. We have to sell on customer value. We have to sell on ROI. And that for many is a shift. And for many CAMs that are, it's a new way of thinking about it. And so business acumen, partnering acumen is really, really important. And so I really view this EQ, IQ as equal. And that's sort of a fundamental thing in our company, is about the EQ and IQ of partnering and how they are like a seesaw that have to be balanced.
Great. Yeah. I think there's a lot of challenges in that, and being able to develop those capabilities, but some great ideas and what goes into building a channel account manager superstar. And Jasmina, something that you talked about when we were preparing for this session was some of the challenges when changes happen in businesses, either through M&A or through management changes. And often when new management comes in, it can be out with the old and in with the new. But what are some of your thoughts with regard to regime change and also methodologies and approaches to keep that team whole and productive?
Well, I mean, the pandemic was a good example, which served as a massive catalyst that changed the way organizations across the world work across different sectors, industries, and regions. And so how well those teams transition to the future of work remains core to the business resiliency in a post-pandemic world. And funny thing is, in fact, we just finished a spring symposium a couple months ago, which was the Road to Recovery, on a virtual leadership symposium where we had quite a few C-level leaders from different companies address this very topic. So for those that want to take a look at it, it's on our site. But I think some of these things, I mean, it literally comes down to, when you become a leader, you're either creating a new team or acquiring an old one. And there's different skills from each of these different individuals on those teams. So, for example, when you acquire a pre-existing team, you have to literally examine how each team member worked with their previous leader so that you can understand how that CAM did their job. When you're looking to grow them into that next level of their career, whether it's just, enhancing their current channel account manager, leader, or looking into becoming a director or what have you, you need to understand how they worked with that old leader. This is literally going to determine how they fit with you as their new leader and where they fit in with your strategy and goals. And then you also have to understand their goals. How do you know what you can do to support them if you don't understand what their goals are and what their future is with the company or their overall career? It really needs to be, you don't need to be their best friend. But it's important for your team members to know that they can come to you, especially during times like last year with stress at an all-time high. And then you've got the work and home life, that bleed into each other so much. I mean, give you an example. In the past, and even today, I have a candid group text chat with my team. My team knows that they can trust me if they want to talk about something, either with just me, or the team, overall. I consider it a venting session. So let it out, let it go. Don't worry about what someone's going to say. This is their time where they have an open communication. And if I want them to go to that next level, they need to understand what it means to be a leader. And it means, you always want to be on hand to help them understand the politics and nuances of the job. I mean, I've always told my teams, I work for you. It may be that I have a title, but honestly, I work for you. In order for you to succeed, I'm there to help you, whether it's on, sales or personal or being there just to make sure they understand what it takes. I'll be there, and that's what I'm there. In order for any channel manager to succeed, honestly, you have to be able to support them through the good, the bad, and the ugly. When there's a change in leadership, the leaders that come into that new role, they have to be ready to learn about that team and support them in their personal and professional goals. And, being here at Everbridge, we have that strong open culture, which I totally enjoy. And in fact, we were actually ranked the top 50 in the largest company category by comparably showing that we've got the best company culture. So it really kind of shows how we work with others and looking to see and how we're going to grow those individuals to becoming the next leaders. So just a little bit, but there's a lot. Yeah.
That's great, Jasmina.
Yeah, that focus on culture is awesome. And I love your perspective on, I work for you, right? How can I support your success? Why is that so rare?
And it's the easiest and most simple, but I think a lot of people just kind of tune out and don't realize that.
Yeah.
So true.
You have to think of that like an ice cream cone. Have you ever heard that where the leader is on the very bottom of the cone?
Yep,
You think about the ice cream cone, right?
that's true.
The higher you get in the organization, the further down the ice cream cone you get, right? So if you think about it, the closest to the customer, the front line, is all the good stuff, the sprinkles and the ice cream and the whipped cream and all the toppings.
Awesome.
You know, the middle you get is the actual ice cream, right? Then the further you get down to the cone's job is to hold it all. By the time you get to it, it's covered in paper, soggy, may not even eat it, may throw it away. But like, yeah, the
I
ice
love
cream
it.
cone methodology.
Great
Yeah.
analogy.
I
Christy.
love it.
And
Yeah.
someone shared that with me early in my career, and it's always stuck with me.
Love
That's a
that.
great visualization. Yeah.
I love that. I'm taking that one.
Teresa, what's your experience in hiring channel account managers? Do they have to come from the channel? What makes a good channel account manager?
I don't believe they have to come from the channel. You know, I think, and nowadays, right, we're bringing in a number of partner success centers and inside sales folks. And so, you know, we're bringing in young guns, and they're coming from 1 or 2 years out of other industries. They're coming from, you know, maybe college grad programs. So, you know, I think that's a great way to get young and excited new talent into the industry. What's common about the people that work in the tech channel and in partnering is this whole, I have high EQ, or I have the aptitude to develop high EQ. There is a notion of listening and some of these trust building skills, and look for more from Achieve pretty soon with Notre Dame and Arizona State. Just a little excitement coming about this and the science of this pretty soon. So that piece is really, really important. And then, you know, if they don't come from channel, maybe they come from tech. I love direct sellers who move into channel, especially nowadays. Jasmina, that's right. I love people who come from distribution and go work in. Some of the best people I know came up through the ranks through distribution, you know, because they learned so much from so many different perspectives. I love people who come from other functions, marketing or operations or product. I pulled a guy out of product, and he's at Apple, and he is a diamond. And part of why I pulled him up out of product is because he came and asked me to learn more about the channel. He had a curiosity and a hunger to learn about the front end of the business. So those are the kinds of things that really matter, I think. So no, they don't have to come from channel. You just, if you get here, you got to become the best you can be, right? And you have to really invest in developing these skills.
That curiosity initiative is so powerful in you know, any kind of a amazing candidate, right? That's cool. Christy, I know, like, going back to communication, something that you think about a lot, and it's something I'm passionate about and trying to figure out more and more about over time, is how do you tell a story and kind of the power of a story? How do you think about storytelling, and how do you get your team to think about that and be able to tell great stories as part of their engagement and communication and sales process?
Absolutely. So thank you for asking. I mean, it is something I'm very passionate about. So great storytellers absolutely get results. So you will find, and I think a lot of folks can say this, like, you know, ultimately, why did you do that? Why did you buy that thing you didn't need? Why did you invest in that? It was the story. It wasn't necessarily always the product or the company. It was the story you heard behind it, right? I think so often, right, you know, storytelling, you know, it's a clear vision, right? It's easy to understand, but most important is it's relatable, you know? And I think storytelling engages, you know, people ultimately, right? And ties facts to emotion. I think so often, and Teresa is aware because she's known me a while, she knows I'm pretty passionate about emotion being described as maybe not a favorable thing, especially as a female leader. Emotion is a really favorable thing, actually. And emotion combined with facts is incredibly important, right? Because that's how ultimately you're going to relate to people. So it also, I think, storytelling is important because it evangelizes things easier. It builds longer term credibility with folks. Right? We've all heard a million tips and tricks on how to do this, that, or the other. It's stories behind it that resonate with all. The story that we experienced, or that one time when we used that one thing we experienced, right? So, you know, so in terms of why it's important, million reasons, and I think we can all, consumers in our daily lives, storytelling is important and what makes us tick. In terms of how to teach it or how to convey it. So for me personally, I run a leadership development program for all of my leaders within my organization, and storytelling for results is one of the one of the topics that we go over. And so, for that, we first talk about why is storytelling important, right? And so I facilitate it. My leaders work together to come up with why is storytelling important. Then we talk about what are the skills needed. So I think it's important to talk about, when you talk about any topic, why, right? Because then people automatically, there's a purpose behind it. Then you talk about the skills needed, which sometimes I think, maybe that part can be overlooked. And then the other thing is, then it comes to business application, right? Not only are we talking about storytelling and why, but then it's okay, what do we stand to gain? What potentially could we lose? Where are there opportunities that maybe we're missing, or where, do we potentially blind spots, as an example? When you start to kind of put all of those things together and you relate that to why storytelling plays a role there and what happens maybe if you don't, people get brought in really quick, right? If you think about it, that in and of itself is telling a story. That whole process, you're telling a story to get people to tell a story, as an example. So, and I think the other thing too is if you think about, in business, right, you're finding, if you're finding, problems, that's one thing. If you're finding solutions as a salesperson, that's an entirely different conversation, right? So, nobody wants to necessarily partner with someone that, finds X problems, right? I joke, the book, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, right? She finds all the problems, not the solutions. And if you look at, as an example, that program, you could also, say, well, that solution's not going to work. Okay. And you could say, well, I'm actually going to configure an infrastructure that's going to run all of your applications at once. It's going to manage everything for you, ensure everything's upgraded, it's secure, and you're not even going to have to think about it. The difference in how you position those two things. Which one are you going to do? Yeah. So any day of the week, you're going to take the second one. So
I'm taking the ice cream cone.
What would you say?
I'm taking the ice cream cone.
Or the ice cream
storyteller.
Yeah, totally random, but that's an example. Yeah, totally example of storytelling. So yeah,
you're a great storyteller.
I love what you said about the emotion with the facts or the truth behind it. It's hard to get more powerful than that. I worked for a company, and the CEO had this big quote on the wall from Maya Angelou, and it went something like, I don't remember what they said, but I remember how they made me feel. Mm-hmm. And if we can do that with the products that we're selling, the stories that we're telling, then you're onto something.
Angus, I remember Mike Aquino, one of my mentors, and he was bringing me over to Sienna to be a channel chief, and he said, if I capture your heart, your mind will follow.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I like that.
Put that in a quote.
To this day, I am so loyal to that man.
Yeah.
And so there is something, and it goes back to the trust and this whole thing about, being our authentic selves and how we build partnerships.
Well, time has passed pretty quickly here. We're already here wrapping up. So we're at the end, and here's where we talk about our key takeaways. So Jasmina, let's talk about your key takeaway. What do you want to leave the audience with when it comes to developing your channel team and what you think really matters?
I think there's, to me, 3 key ingredients. The teamwork. You have to have the ability to work as a cohesive team player. You really need to, step out of that silo effect and make sure that even though we each have our own targets and what have you, it's a team approach in the end. Mm-hmm. You've got to work together. If one can't make it, help them out. It's it's a team play from start to finish. Trust. I mean, Christy, you really nailed it on that. That trust, you need to trust each other. If you can't even trust each other, then how are you going to work together as a team, let alone go ahead and work with a partner that requires that trust from day one? And then the third, which is the most important to me, which everybody laughs at, is fun. You got to have fun. You have to have that time for that work-life balance. You don't take everything so seriously. Have fun with your job. with the partners, get to know them on a personal level. And in the end, it won't be a job. It'll be something that you enjoy every day. So those are my 3 ingredients to, having that channel superstar.
And I think one of your observations too is really cool, that some of the folks who were great individual contributors, who never wanted to be leaders or never had the confidence or thought they could be leaders, have turned into some of your best team leads. How did you see that or make that happen?
Is that for Christy or myself? I'm sorry.
For you, Jasmine.
Oh, sorry. I mean, what's funny is, it's our job as leaders to help groom these people, to take on more responsibility, to take on that spotlight. I mean, I've had individual contributors that were adamant that they didn't want to lead a team, but I knew they had it in them. And so, perfect example, I worked with an individual contributor at CenturyLink back in the day, who was certain that they never wanted to be in leadership. But as she grew, she gained the skills she needed, and more importantly, understanding the bigger picture that she thought she probably never had. Today, she's literally the rock star leader at her new company, one of the most effective leaders that I've known, and proud to be a part of her inner circle.
Awesome.
It's amazing. It's amazing to watch.
And the other thing, right, too, Jasmina, is individual contributors are. I remember this gentleman, Steve. He was came into the company and he said, there are leaders and there are influencers, and the people in the leadership position are not always the influencers. So, you come into companies, you see some of the most incredible individual contributors are some of the biggest influencers of those companies. And exactly. So, it's like leadership's not a position.
Yep.
Very
You're
cool.
right.
Thank you, Jasmina. Christy, what about for you? What's a takeaway you'd like to leave with the audience? I think you said something around playing offense in times of change.
Absolutely. Playing offense in times of change is huge. There's never been a better time to play off, right? So the world is forever changed. There's no denying that the world is forever changed. Therefore, how we do business in the world, how we live in the world, how we interact with the world is forever changed. So, if anybody out there is still feeling like things are going to go back to normal, this is our new normal. And I think that that's really important to, to understand it. So from here on out, right, much like people make a choice every day on whether or not to trust, and therefore you have to work that way. Everyone makes a choice every day on whether they're going to go into the day with a survive mentality or a thrive mentality. And I'm all about having a thrive mentality. And so if you look at today, thriving means that you have to be visionary, you have to plan, you have to dream, you have to have a management system, right? You have to manage innovation and tracking innovation and driving innovation as tightly as you would manage your own team. And there's just no doubt about it. So things like, we've tried that before, or that doesn't work, or anything like those statements need to go out.
Yellow flags,
people want to play. Yeah, people want to play offense. I actually wrote this 10 kind of questionnaire list of guide to playing offense, and it's around really reevaluating how you're spending the time. Is the time driving progress? Is it driving the financial outcomes? I think so often people get so used to doing what they do every single day that the question of why are we doing this and what are we doing it for, does it really tie to anything? It's almost like, and I've learned as a leader sometimes, even when people aren't asking for permission, this is your permission, right? To think about things differently.
Chrissy, can we share that with the group, your 10 list? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be a great follow-up. Thank you.
Absolutely. Happy to share, but I mean, ultimately, disruptive times are scary for people, but they are the times people are going to be most open to change. So not to take that opportunity to go play offense or challenge what you're doing every day is a loss, right? I mean, and I joke, like, if it was an athlete, you would be sore afterward. You should be, right? You're also going to be better for it. You're going to be more skilled for it. You're going to be willing, to take on the world, right? So same thing here. So, take a thrive mentality.
Great.
That's great. Very, very inspiring. Yeah. Teresa, what do you have for us? What's your takeaway?
I'll finish with I'm a big fan of CompTIA, and Angus and I actually met through CompTIA. They have a great channel management program, which I'm very proud to be a strong part of. So, and it's very low cost. So if you don't have a big budget, you can still get great training from CompTIA. And just, I encourage you to invest in yourself and invest in developing your skills, get your own personal development plan, really lead from your strengths. Like, we don't all have to have the same strengths. We need to lead from our own strengths, and we'll be our best selves and we'll be our best channel managers. And business acumen, focus on the partner and the customer first, start there. I see a lot of companies, we go inside out, go outside in, right? And then last, this EQ thing is a big thing. So, really focus on developing and honing your skills in that arena. And thank you. So much fun today. Loved this.
This was great. This was fun.
Excellent.
It was a lot
Thank
of fun.
you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Christy, Jasmina, Teresa. It was an honor to be facilitator for such a distinguished panel. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for our latest LinkedIn Live. And Teresa, we're going to be doing this again. So look out for our next LinkedIn Live. And we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you,
we're starting a new series. Get ready.
Woo! Awesome.
All right. Bye.
Take care.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye. Ah.